going to go through a couple of slides here, just giving a brief rundown of what the National Genotyping Programme is, what the benefits of it are, and how it ties in with your existing requirements around SCEP, or how it might affect your current participation in SCEP. So yeah, so basically over the last number of years, we've been running a pilot of DNA registration, and there's been a lot of genotyping being done through the previous BDGP schemes and the current SCEP, and also pedigree societies. So at this stage, I suppose most people are well aware of the general benefits of genotyping and how that fits into our ambitions nationally. So we've managed to secure quite a sizable pot of money between the Brexit Adjustment Reserve and from the government and industry in this new initiative called the National Genotyping Programme. So the first, there's essentially two parts to participation in the program. So the first part is to genotype out all of the rest of the breeding animals in the existing herds. So any cows, heifers, stock bulls that have not already been genotyped through previous schemes and programs are picked up now between now and the end of the year, and those will be done for free. They'll be covered under the Brexit Adjustment Reserve funding, and then those herds then commit then to sampling all their calves at birth using the new double tissue tag. So using the new double tissue tag, so that's the commitment then. So, and this has been designed to tie in with the SCEP requirement for 70% to sample 70% of your reference number each year. So this part is this part then, in terms of genotyping the calves at birth, has been heavily subsidised by the department and industry to minimise the cost on the farmer. And as I said, then a lot of it can also be counted under the SCEP requirements. So we have about 4,000 dairy herds already signed up, but it's still open for applications for beef and dual purpose herds. And so look at in terms of our targets, we have space for about 200,000 beef cows and then the subsequent heifers. Well, basically what that means is we have room for any SCEP herd who wants to participate. In fact, any beef herd really who wants to participate in NGP this year, we'll have space for. So one of the key things, one of the key prerequisites just to bear in mind is that the DNA calf registration service or process has only been developed so far for online registrations. So in this iteration of the program, herds joining would need to be able to register their calves online. So we do hope that this is the first step, hopefully to be a successful step in maybe 3 or 4 phases towards genotyping the entire national herd. And you know, so maybe in subsequent stages we will be able to develop it for herds doing paper registrations, but at the moment it's just available for herds doing online registrations. Okay, so the first part, as I mentioned, was to genotype out the existing herd. So the first thing, if herds who wish to join the National Genotyping Programme, they need to sign up online, and it's through the ICBF. So unlike, say, department-led schemes like the Suckler Carbon Efficiency Programme, the SCEP, or this new National Beef Welfare, or any of the other schemes that herds may be involved in, this is run by ICBF rather than the department. So rather than signing up on Ag Food, it's through your ICBF login that you need to sign up for the program. Given that it's online registrations only, we've kept with that theme then for the sign up. So you must sign up online. So it is a prerequisite to be in the program to either be in HerdPlus or SCEP. So if you're in SCEP, that'll suffice. Otherwise, if you're not a member, if you're not happen to not a member of SCEP, or you're not sure if you're going to continue in SCEP, you can still be part of the NGP, but you would need to be a member of HerdPlus in that case. And look, farmers do need to be able to sign up themselves. Their advisor can't sign them up for them. And again, that's just, I suppose, because the calves each year must be registered online. I suppose a certain amount of proficiency online is a requisite by the farmers joining, and so one way to demonstrate that is to be able to log in themselves and sign up. So once you've signed up, then you'll get an email effectively, first of all, acknowledging your application, and secondly, then accepting with confirming your acceptance into the program. So once that happens, then we'll be ordering button tags, as you can see here on the right hand side. The picture on the right, we'll be ordering little button tags like your SCEP samples to genotype any cows or heifers or heifer calves, or even any breeding stock bulls that you're using to bull cows. Any of those that happen to be left in your herd that haven't already been sampled, we'll be ordering button tags for those. As I mentioned before, this is all completely free. This phase is completely free. So that includes the cost of the button tag. We'll order that for you. That'll come out to you automatically. There'll be a return, a paid envelope, return envelope with these particular samples. And the sampling is free. So literally all you need to do with these is just to get the animals in and take the samples. We would ask that herds make the best effort to get those samples back as quickly as possible. So as mentioned earlier there, we have about 200,000 beef cows and then plus the heifers and so on to sample before the end of the year. But there is, on top of that, maybe 700,000 or 800,000 dairy cows, and all of those animals must be processed through the lab before the end of the year. So to be able to have the capacity to do that, we need herds to return the samples as soon as possible. And so, as I've mentioned, we won't be asking you to sample any animals again which have already been sampled. So we're not getting guys to sample just for the sake of it. It's only those. So some of you will have been in the BDGP since the very start, and those of you who have been in the BDGP prior to this SCEP program, most likely will have all your cows and heifers done already. So you may have very few or maybe even no animals to do in this phase. Whereas a herd who's only recently joined SCEP and wasn't a part of the previous programs, this part of the program will be particularly advantageous for them, as they will be able to finish out their herd now straight away and see how many 4 and 5 star eligible animals they have, and so on. So then from January, then we'll be starting into the DNA registration process, tagging the calves and sampling them at birth. Okay, so what will happen is the double tissue tags are not currently available, but they'll be available within the coming weeks. And herds in the program will be the only herds in the National Genotyping Programme will be the only herds who have access to these tags. So from once they become available in maybe a month or 6 weeks time, then the herds will be able to participating herds will be able to order their double tissue tags for next year. If you happen to have any leftover tags from this year coming into next year, you'll be able to order a little button tag with the matching tag number to take a DNA sample, so that you can use up the remainder of your tags from this year. So you'll tag the calves at birth. As you can see in the picture, the tags look the very same as the existing tags that you have. The big difference here is that the second ear will leave you a DNA sample. So both ears leave you a bottle. You'll tag the calves at birth. Your BVD process. The white bottle is your BVD. The white bottle will go to your BVD lab in your own envelope, as you've always done. And the pink bottle then is the DNA. That'll go in to the DNA lab in an addressed envelope, which we'll have given you. So we'll give you the envelope, but you will be required to just put the stamp or pay the postage on that envelope. Then you log in onto either the Ag Food website or your farm software package if that's what you're using to register your calves, and you'll submit your calving event, your calf registration as normal. So you need to record the usual bits of information, the date of birth, sex, dam, sire, breed, and so on. And then what will happen is the sample then, while it will take maybe 4 or 5 days in the lab to process, and in the background then, when the result comes back, the parentage result from the sample will be checked against what you've recorded, and if you have made a mistake, it'll be corrected at that point, and then you'll get your blue card out. Okay, so it'll be corrected automatically. You won't have to log in a second time or accept changes or anything like that. You want your When your blue card comes out, it'll already be corrected for you. So So look, this is just a more visual representation of the timeline. As I said, calf is born and tagged, same two tags you have at the moment. You just have a second bottle to send away. You send away the bottle, it takes a day or two to get to the lab. Then we 4 or 5 days in the lab. The information then goes to the department. They check that against what you've recorded when you were logged in online, and if they have a correction. So because we'll have already finished out your herd, genotyped all your cows, we should be able to confirm the dam. We'll be able to confirm the sire, again, provided we have a sample for him in the database, and we can even check the sex for you. And if you have made any mistake in any of those areas, it'll be fixed before the blue card comes out to you in the post. So look, the main benefits of this program. So I suppose that's the key question to guys. What's in this for me, I suppose, or why is this of interest to you? So I've no doubt all of you at different times have probably cursed the department and ourselves in ICBF, in March or April or May, when you get a box of tags out to do for the suckler carbon program. It could be only a week or two since you've let the animals out to grass, and now you have your list of tags, and you have to round up a portion of them again, get them back in, load them up to crush, take a button tag. These could be anything from younger calves to older animals, big strong animals. There's obviously a safety element in trying to take tags from older animals. So your crush facilities might be variable, or depending on fragmented land or out farms, maybe crush facilities are limited. So being able to do the calves at birth through the double tissue tag removes all of that hassle and hardship. Um, Basically, you have to tag the calves anyway. It's a job that's a statutory requirement, and so in that one job, you're killing two or three birds effectively. You're getting your calf tagged and your BVD as you always have, but you're also getting this DNA sample, which will count for your SCEP requirements. It'll count. It's the same DNA that'll count for anybody who's registering pedigree animals. The parentage is being checked straight off the bat, and the animal is getting their genomic evaluation at the earliest possible opportunity. So this is a very cost-effective program for herds to join. There's a cost element, a cost benefit to herds. So the ability to get your remaining herd genotyped out for free, rather than having to wait over a number of years through the SCEP program to finish it, or pay out of your own pocket. And then the price for the calves then equates to about €6 per calf. Now we'll go into the cost a little bit further just so you understand exactly how that works. But basically, where that €6 coming from is that the double tissue tag is on average approximately €1 more expensive than the tag you're currently purchasing. There's a €4 direct contribution towards the genotyping cost, and then we're given a rough estimate of the additional cost of posting a second envelope of about €1 per calf. Again, that's probably being a little bit generous. So that's where the €6 comes from. But just an important thing to remember is that €6 is effectively only incurred on any calves that are not counted towards your annual SCEP sampling requirements. So for most herds, that'll be a very small proportion of their calves, and so will equate to a very small bill for this. So you're getting a lot of labor saving and benefits for a very, very small cost. As I mentioned already, it's automatic parentage verification. So another picture I'll paint again, if we tell a story, how many how many of those of you who are logged in at the moment have been involved in genotyping prior to the SCEP, maybe through the National Genotyping Programme or the Pedigree Society? You send your sample in, maybe on an adult animal even, and lo and behold, you discover that the dam is wrong. And now you have to get the blue card out and send the blue card to the DVO for probably two animals, because if there's one dam mixed up, let's be fair, there's probably two. So you're sending away two blue cards plus a form plus maybe a letter from ICBF showing the evidence of the dam error. You have to gather all that up and send it to the DVO and then wait for a new blue card to come back and before it can be fixed. And if it's a pedigree animal, then you also have knock-on paperwork to do in fixing it up with the Pedigree Society and implications on your pedigree registration. The stars can also be affected afterwards as well when you have a change in parentage, because the prior stars were based on the wrong information. So it makes a lot of sense to integrate that into the earliest possible part of the system at registration. So when you get your blue card for your calf, when the calf appears on the system proper, it's already had its parentage checked and any issues resolved. And sex, sorry, we tend to forget to leave the sex out, but if you do misrecord the sex, that should be caught as well. So I alluded already to early genomic Eurostar figures. So the genomic figures are required in the SCEP for animals to be eligible to count towards female replacement targets, or for bulls to count towards as an eligible sire. So if you're trying to keep track of where your herd is in terms of meeting your female replacement targets and the number of 4 and 5 star females you need, or also if you have surplus animals and you want to sell those animals, or you're breeding maybe pedigree males or females for sale, having genomic figures on the animals will help you decide what animals to sell, what animals to keep, and it also adds value when you are selling those animals. So by genotyping the calves at birth, again, you're getting this information at the earliest possible juncture. And then lastly, the commercial beef value is something that you may have heard of over the last while. So the commercial beef value effectively tells the purchaser of any animal that's intended for slaughter what is their carcass merit. So anybody who might be buying weanlings or store cattle from the likes of your herds would use the commercial beef value to help them make sure they're buying the best animals possible for to finish out to the factory. So and to get the CBV on your animals, they must be genotyped. So anybody who's involved in the National Genotyping Programme, their animals will have a CBV show up on the MART board. So we're going to work through an example now, just so people understand how the cost, the 6 euros per calf, will be tied in with your existing SCEP requirement, and how that cost will work out. Okay. So we're going to take an example here. The example we have is fairly average across the SCEP. So I think 25 or 26 is the average reference number across the 19 or so thousand herds who are involved in the SCEP program. Okay, so if you have a reference number of 25, then 70, you must sample 70% of those animals each year. So 70% of 25 equals 17 animals, or 17 samples to send back. Okay, so in this particular example, what we've taken here is say a herd who maybe is calving down a few more cows than what the reference number is. Because again, that's quite a common scenario. You'll have some herds who are calving less than the reference, some herds who are calving more. The figure will obviously vary from year to year. So in this particular example, the herd has a SCEP reference of 25, but in the particular year we're going to use as an example, they happen to calve down 28 cows. Okay, so they have 28 calves to sample at birth. Okay, so effectively what will happen is the first 17 samples that they submit whether it's the spring or the autumn, the first 17 samples they submit in the year at birth through the NGP will be ticked off and counted against their SCEP requirement. And it's only then effectively the subsequent 11. So if we take 17 then from 28, that leaves 11 animals then that can't be counted under SCEP. And it's only those 11 animals effectively that the herd will be end up paying the €6 for. So just to elaborate on this, so I suppose the farmer will have incurred the €6 up front. So how the billing will work for the National Genotyping Programme, you'll incur that euro we mentioned, the euro of additional cost in the tag will be incurred when you're purchasing your tags from the tag supplier. Within about a month then of your tags being ordered, the €4 per tag, effectively the €4 lab contribution will be taken then by ICBF by direct debit, and then of course you'll incur the postage, the euro postage cost as you're sending away the samples then as the cow's calf. So effectively for all 28, if you say the herd had ordered 28 tags, the herd will have incurred the full €6 cost for all 28 samples or for all 28 calves up front. But what's going to happen then is that the fact that €6 per calf has already been paid by the farmer on the 17 samples, that'll be accounted for when it comes time then to get your SCEP payment. So normally the SCEP payment has a gross payment and then the genotyping portion is deducted. So in this case, that that would be €18 times 17. But because the farmer has already paid 6, that will be adjusted to €12 times 17. So the €6 will be taken off the deduction to account for the fact that the farmer's already paid. So instead of being deducted 17 times €18, they'll be deducted 17 times €12. So effectively they'll get their €6 back for those 17 animals through their SCEP payment. So the net cost of those 17 calves will end up being 0. Okay, and the farmer then will only really be at the cost of the €6 for the remaining 11 calves in this example. So obviously 11, the total cost then in this particular example then is 11 times €6, which is €66 for the year. Okay. Now hopefully people we can touch on that again in the questions and answers if it's still a bit confusing. But the net cost effectively, you're paying it all up front, but getting credited back effectively in your SCEP payment. So the net cost is 0 for your SCEP samples, and it's only the additional samples that will cost you the €6. Okay, so there's a few other common questions that we're going to touch on, and look, they may come up again in the questions and answers, but we'll probably have answered a couple already through this section. So, one question we have been getting is, if I have calves born this autumn, will they be covered? So the answer to that really is no. So we will be genotyping the existing herd, and any calves, I suppose heifer calves that are born when we go to order the button tags for your existing herd will be included. But that still leaves the potential for calves to be born in maybe October, November, December time before we start the genotyping at birth in January and after we've sent you your button tags. So just this first year, I suppose those animals won't be picked up. So it'll be up to the farmers themselves either to genotype them privately if they want to, or if they end up factoring into their SCEP requirements in future years. But those particular animals won't be picked up if only what's in the herd when we go to order your button tags. But then you'll start your genotyping your calves then at birth from January, and everything from that point on in the rest of the program will be done at birth. As I mentioned before, the double tissue tags as of today are not available, but we're getting fairly close to those being available, having the different infrastructure finished in the background. So basically, once they are available, if you join today, as soon as the double tissue tags are available to order, we'll be notifying all the herds in the NGP. A reminder again, the double tissue tags are only available to herds in NGP. So if you're in SCEP and you want to sample calves at birth and not have to wait for button tags to come out, the only way to do that is through the NGP. If you do happen to be short on tags in the meantime and you have some more cows to calve in the autumn period, you can order regular tags, but we would advise you to only order enough to do you till the end of the year. Because as we mentioned before, any tags you have spare, you'll need to buy a button tag then to use from January onwards. So as I just alluded to, if you do have some tags left over, then come January, some conventional or normal tags, not the double tissue tag type, you can use those up before moving on to your double tissue tags, and that'll be done by ordering a matching button tag to provide the DNA sample for those calves. So once the springtime comes, look at any herd who joins the National Genotyping Programme, we will be covering in more detail the ins and outs of the DNA registration process ahead of the springtime. But basically, yeah, any when the springtime comes, the BVD and the DNA will need to go to separate places. There isn't any single lab who's approved to sample both DNA and BVD, so they have to go to separate places. So you'll follow the same procedure as you have always done for your BVD, and the DNA then will go in the addressed envelopes that we've given you. So all you need to do for the DNA envelopes is just apply the required stamps. We have also color coded across the 4 different tag suppliers the DNA samples so that they can be easily told apart from the BVD. So the BVD samples are always white and the DNA sample is pink. And in fact, the return envelope for the DNA will be pink also, so it'll be consistent. So BVD is white, DNA is pink. So we do recommend that you post samples regularly. Remember, your blue card won't be issued until the AIM or the department have had a chance to check the DNA result. So the sooner you post away a sample, the sooner you'll get your blue card back for a calf. We recommend once a week. For busy dairy herds, we'll probably post maybe even more than once a week. Obviously, then if maybe suckler herds like yourselves might be in as much of panic, you might feel more comfortable posting once a fortnight. But we would recommend you not to leave it too infrequently, just to keep those samples moving and keep your blue cards coming back. So yeah, as I mentioned, the lab from receipt should be able to turn around the sample in about 5 days. It's possible even that they can do it in 3 or 4 3 or 4 days if everything goes well. But 5 days should be the maximum amount of time it takes in the lab to turn around the sample. So yeah, depending on how soon you post the sample, you could have your blue card anywhere where between 10 and 18 days of age, the calf. So the average again for our pilot program last year was 13 days. But again, very much in your hands as to how soon after the calf is born that you tag and post away the sample. Okay, in summary, the NGP is open for applications as of now for beef and dual herds. We haven't a deadline, a hard deadline set as of yet. We'll notify you once we do, but we probably will be looking at a deadline somewhere about the end of September. But they're open for now. You must be a HerdPlus member or participating in SCEP. Either or will do to join. Each herd or each farmer must apply themselves online through the ICBF website. It's only suitable for online calf registrations. So if you can't log in and register calves online either through AgFood or a farm software, or somebody can't do that on behalf of you, well then unfortunately it's not going to be a suitable program for you. Only herds that join the NGP will have access to the double tissue tags. So as I've said before, if you want to do your samples for your SCEP at birth, this is the only way to go. It's a great opportunity, particularly for new herds to SCEP who haven't previously been in BDGP, to finish out their herd fully genotyped so they know exactly where they stand. So once you've signed up, then within the next few weeks, you'll get button tags to genotype any of those cows or heifers in your herd that haven't been done already. And then the double tissue tags will be available in the coming weeks for you to order in time for January. And look, if there's any queries, we'll do a question and answers now. But if there is any queries that we don't cover, or you want to maybe talk to us one-to-one or get more information, there's a dedicated email address, ngp@icbf.com, or you can call the HerdPlus line on 023 8820 452.